page is the part that I'm concerned with. This section right here. Your 50-hour and 100-hour services. I'd like you to follow what's on this amendment sheet rather than what's in the owner's manual.
All right.
Okay? Once you get out past 100 hours, refer back to the manual for the rest of the life of the machine.
All right.
We've just seen some longevity issues, and this takes care of that. You know
All right. Awesome.
Manuals. Loader manual has a great parts breakdown. Spare key, spare main fuse, couple extra pins and clips, nothing crazy there. So
Beautiful.
Size shirt you wear?
2XL.
And you want something other than the 1.5 or higher?
Okay.
Okay. So grease starts at 0, they end at 3. The higher the number, the more slippery it is, the longer it lasts. Grease gun on that thing. The first few times you pop the nipple on and off, you're going to loosen up the nipple on the end of it, and that'll keep it from sticking on the fittings. Once they're broken in, you can tighten it back down again.
Okay.
It's going to leak a little bit the first few times you use it with it loosened up, that's all. Grease fittings on that machine. They are brass, and they're 1/8" 27 thread pitch. Please don't put any steel fittings in place of the brass fittings, otherwise the next time you break it off on a rod or a stick, it'll take the threads out with it, because the grease fitting will be harder than the pin it's screwed into. The brass ones are made to shear off. You can extract the piece real easy with a bolt extractor. They come right out, and you just screw the new one in, and you're good to go. Now, if you can't find 1/8" 27 thread pitch brass fittings, I stock 600 of them for that very reason. I can mail them to you. Not a big deal there.
Well, that sounds good.
I got a copy of your original paperwork here. I'm going to throw that in the bottom of the box also.
Sounds good. Yay, a box of goodies.
And Adam, you remind me before you guys leave, and I'll pull your filters for you.
You got it.
Awesome. Because the only other thing that I was actually going to inquire on would be, you guys have any York rigs and stuff?
York brakes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll have to ask these guys when I got left. I'm not sure if we have one in that size range.
That's probably like the #1 option.
Oh, it could be the big one.
Yeah, I know we're trying to share implements between both tractors. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot. No, I'm trying to find a sweet spot where both
Just
will
so you're not
work.
wearing out the actual bucket.
The 60 would just bog his down some, but the 2510 should run the 60 box blade.
60 all day long.
The box blade? Yeah.
And even an HST. Okay. So we're going to owe you the link pedal kit. We talked about that already.
Yes.
When it comes in, I'll give you a phone call. We can get you scheduled in to get it put in the tractor.
Check it. You can check in
Try
the
to do it yourself.
check in the book,
I'll
but
tell
it's
you
definitely
this.
more than that.
The first time my shop
everything.
installed one, it was a day and a quarter. Okay. Now they got it down to 2 hours.
Nice.
So it might be worth having us install it. Just as a,
Sounds like
it's
the
a
first time
lot
we're doing.
a lot of work.
Since we own the trailer.
Oh, we own a trailer.
Here's that. All right, let me see about billing on all of this. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, so we were right when we first came in here. This one happens to be my tractor.
So
It is the 2510 CX.
So we'll start at the back of the machine, work our way up to the front.
Sounds good.
All right, on the back of this thing, the drawbar here. If you're running anything shaft driven, take this drawbar out. There's a pin in there. Remove the linch pin on the bottom of it. Slide the pin upwards. Otherwise, when you drop something below grade, it'll contact the drawbar.
Oh,
right
yeah, that makes sense.
Leveling right to your left is done with the right-hand turnbuckle, front to back with the upper turnbuckle. These turnbuckles down here, okay, they're check links. Those, you need to tighten those up against whatever implement you have off the back of the machine, so it cuts down on the amount of sway.
Okay.
Less side-to-side movement, the longer the item will last, like a York rake, something along those lines.
Awesome.
Shaft cover on here, just a little thumb screw on there to take off. If you're running anything shaft driven, it's an 1 3/8" 6-point shaft. Pretty common through most things these days. Toolbox on the back. Don't put anything important in there because it's not exactly waterproof.
Hey, at least you're being honest about it.
About a 5-6 gallon tank on this thing, so nothing crazy there.
Okay.
Fuel, we talked about fuel for this thing, okay? On-road diesel, off-road diesel, home heating oil only.
Okay.
Run the additive that's in your care package year-round, okay? Whether it be that brand, House, Lucas, Seafoam, any one of the brand name additives. You want to stay away from the store brand stuff. It's not worth the $3 a bottle savings.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of Seafoam. I run Seafoam in almost all my engines.
Seafoam, as long as you're doing the diesel treatment, you're fine.
Awesome.
Keep in mind, diesel fuel is only 2 weeks shelf stable, so treat it as you buy it, not as you're using it.
Okay, yep.
Okay. If you have diesel on hand for more than a year, dispose of it. It's no good.
Okay.
No kerosene whatsoever. Avoids the warranty on the injection pump.
Okay, yep.
Okay, and be careful when you're purchasing at the pump because biodiesel is coming online in a number of states in the next year. Biodiesel is sky blue in color. If you're pumping sky blue fuel, stop there. It's only stable to 42 degrees. On a day as warm as it is out right now, it's frozen. So your tractor won't like it.
Yeah, no, especially with, like, I believe tonight they were saying that, I think the lows were saying tonight's going to be 28 degrees.
28, yeah, exactly. Whereas regular diesel fuel, yes, it starts to freeze around 30, but it won't solidify till you get well into the teens.
All right, so but the blue stuff will be
Blue stuff
solid.
at 40 starts to get solid. So we say don't run that at all, otherwise you have problems.
Damn.
The other thing is, even if you run biodiesel in the midsummer, you're going to lose 5 to 10 horsepower off your engine running biodiesel. It's that much less combustible. So it's one of those things we advise.
Well,
did you end up getting ballast on your tires?
yeah, there was supposed to be, yes.
Okay, there definitely is. Then if it's on the slip, they got filled. So the tire fill on these things is beet juice. Okay, it's a life cycle in the tire. One bacteria eats the sugar, another bacteria eats the byproduct of the first one, making more sugar. That's what keeps it from freezing down to negative 30 degrees or so.
Nice, perfect for New England.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great fill product, 7.4 on the pH scale. It will not rot out the rims, the tires, or the valve stems. However, don't use your $200 air pressure gauge on it. It will crystallize. It's a sugar-based product.
Okay.
So, cheap dollar store gauges on that. We run these tires down 5 to 10 PSI under the recommendation on the sidewall.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. They're aired down slightly to soften the sidewall back up. If you were to scrub a rock or a stick at full pressure with the juice, there's so much outward pressure on the sidewall of the tire it causes it to split. So that's why we do soften them up a little. If you ever go to check the air pressure and you can't get a pressure gauge on the valve stem, you want to take a coffee mug full of hot water, hold it over the valve stem for a couple of minutes. It'll soften up the sugar crystals, allowing it to be checked.
Okay, okay.
Things to check periodically: your rear wheel bolts, your front wheel bolts, and the loader where this section attaches to the tractor. We've got 4 bolts here and an additional 4 bolts back here. You want to check those about every 10 to 25 hours. Your owner's manual recommends 25. I recommend 10.
Okay.
What I usually tell people is run it the first 10 hours, snug all the bolts up, grab a paint marker at your local hardware store, make a mark from the head of the bolt to the body of the tractor. Then from 10 feet away, you can see if it's moved or not.
Oh, that makes sense.
Don't tighten them. If they do move, tighten them down. Common sense.
I like my blue marker for that.
Exactly. That'll work great. Roll bar on this does tip down. Loosen up the anti-rattle bolts. Pull the pin. It tips backwards. Make sure you tighten them back up when you put it up. Otherwise, the rattling will make you insane. I'm going to step around the other side and point the stuff on the other side of the tractor. Now we got back in this corner, okay? Your fuel filter is back here on this machine, okay?
Oh, there it is.
There's an on-off lever. The fuel bowl on there is made out of a plastic composite material. It's actually nylon. That being said, if you're changing it out and you need to wash the fuel bowl out because there's contaminant stuck to the bottom of it, you want to use Dawn dish soap, hot water, and a dry towel. If you use a chemical cleaner, it'll shrink instantly, and you'll have to buy a new fuel bowl. I stocked 50 of them. That's how often this happens.
Oh, so, nice. All right, so Dawn dish soap,
hot water, dry towel when you're done.
How much is a new bowl?
$20.
Okay.
Well, the big thing is okay, my tractor stopped running this morning. It's snowing outside. It doesn't run. What do? I got to drive all the way to Orchard Hill to pick up a plastic fuel bowl for $20. That just cost you your day.
Yep.
Clean it with the proper material, you don't have an issue.
Especially living on the New Hampshire border. It takes a while to come down here.
Now, pre-fill your bowl before you put it back up.
Okay.
Leave the ring a little bit loose. Turn the lever on. Allow it to push the air out, and then tighten the ring back down again.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And make sure when you're cleaning the outside of it, again, you don't spray that fuel bowl with any chemical cleaners. You want to use just a dry towel on it. Otherwise, again, you'll shrink the bowl from the outside, and the next time you take it off, it'll actually shrink down and you won't be able to use it.
So as much as being a mechanic and brake cleaner was always a universal cleaning,
that is not the go-to on plastic fuel bowls.
That is not the go-to. Brake cleaner is the go-to on everything else.
Everything else. But the fuel bowl.
Okay, got it.
Now I'm going to show you something back here, this little gray plug right here, okay? This is the seat switch for your seat.
Okay.
This particular seat was made for the mid-mount mower that you don't have.
Yes.
In the wintertime, these seat switches tend to freeze up. They get a little moisture buildup because it's a plastic cover. It's a bowl shape, upside down. You're going to get moisture buildup in it. It'll freeze in the wintertime.
Okay.
The number one phone call I get is, my tractor doesn't start. Unplug that, jumper it with a paper clip, wrap it in a ball of tape so it doesn't contact the body of the tractor.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, or a piece of jumper wire. Either way, I don't have a plug to plug in across it because legally I can't recommend that you do this. But in an emergent situation where the seat's frozen, that's your best bet to get back up and running. All right?
Adam, that thing that we saw the other night.
I told you.
I'll have you step around the other side so you can see, and I'll point that stuff. Because I noticed you're filming here today.
I am, and you look good, by the way.
Nothing wrong with that. This guy here raises and lowers a 3-point hitch on the back of the machine, okay?
Awesome.
These two ports, you have a USB port and a cigarette lighter port stock on this machine. Please don't stick your phone in here and drive around with it, okay? It will bounce out. You will run it over. Ask me how I know.
Hey, how do you know?
On that one.
All right.
If you're operating with the roll bar up, please wear your seatbelt. If the roll bar is down, please don't wear your seatbelt. If the machine gets upside down, you don't want to be under it if the roll bar is down.
Correct.
Common sense, but it's not common very much these days. So,
I'm sorry, what was that? Common sense?
Common sense,
yeah.
It's not common anymore.
No, it's not.
This guy here will raise and lower the seat, and that is also the spring rate adjustment on the seat, okay?
Awesome.
So set that to where you're comfortable. This guy here will slide the seat forward and backwards. This one over here, your range selector, must be in neutral to start the tractor. You must be seated on the seat. You must step on the clutch pedal to start the machine, okay?
Beautiful.
Once the machine is started, that clutch pedal, ignore the fact that it's there unless you're running something shaft-driven.
Okay.
The only time you physically need that clutch while you're moving around the yard is going to be to step on it to slide this lever forward into gear.
Okay, to engage the PTO.
Only, okay? Does not need to be moved for the range selector, the four-wheel drive, or the differential lock.
Nice, okay.
If you're setting this tractor for, for storage, if it's going to be more than a week, push down the clutch pedal. There's a little J-shaped hook back over there. Hook it on this pin.
Yes.
It will hold the clutch open, keeping them from rusting together.
Okay, that part I did remember from last time.
Yep. Let's see. The range selector on this thing. If you're going uphill, you want to be in low gear at a high RPM. All hydrostatic drives, regardless of manufacturer, absolutely rings true.
They're garbage going up the hill.
Going uphill, exactly. Now, high gear, on the other hand, transporting around the yard, it might be too fast for a lot of operations. That's more for running to your neighbor's house kind of thing, or if you're running down the street to his place or something. You can throw it in high and it'll go pretty good. You've got a number of controls back over here. This guy over here is your four-wheel drive. Up is off and down is on that one. This guy here is your differential lock. It'll lock your right and left rear wheels together. This is both front and rear open differentials. So whichever side has the least amount of traction is where your power is going.
Awesome.
However, generally speaking, your drive wheel is left front, right rear.
Okay.
So if you do a four-wheel drive plus a diff lock, you get both rear wheels and whichever wheel is slipping the most on the front.
Okay.
It's going to give you your absolute best traction in this machine. Star-shaped knob over here. This guy controls the speed that the 3-point hitch goes up and down on the back of the machine. But if you're like me and you accidentally drag your boot heels across it all the time, it'll go against one of the locks, either all the way open or all the way closed. If that happens, the hydraulics in the front of the machine are going to misbehave. The steering will get tight, the boom will be jerky going up and down. Just half a turn back off the lock, everything will normalize again for you.
Oh, okay.
Nothing
Okay.
crazy there.
Good.
You have on the joystick handle here, there's a ledger here, as well as on the back side of the loader here. Makes it easy to remember how to use it. If you're pushing this all the way forward, it'll put the boom in a float position to follow groundwork for you. There is a little lockout over here. I got kids, grandkids, they monkey around on everything. So if you push that forward and give the handle a little wiggle, it'll lock out the handle, keep anybody from dropping this on your head. It won't protect you against hydraulic failure, but at least it's a level of safety if you're doing something under the hood.
Yes.
Filters on this machine. There are two of them for the hydraulic system. You have your HST filter here above the floor pan. There is one directly below it under the floor pan. Those are your two hydraulic filters. This machine, you're going to have to change both of those out at approximately 100 hours along with the fluid.
Okay.
After that, it's every 2 years or 250 hours for the occasional user, or 2 years or 400 hours for the daily user. We're not worried so much about thermal breakdown as we're about the amount of water that'll build up in the system over the course of its life.
Okay.
All right. Fluid for this machine: Coyote brand oil, Mahindra brand oil, Shell Donax TD, or Mobile 424 only. And I don't mean equivalents of these oils.
Yeah, no.
Equivalents are not equal. Things like Valvoline VV818, great oil. Love their products. However, it's spec'd out for this machine, according to Valvoline. It is 43% water-based additive package. This machine needs 100% petroleum-based oil. Put that oil in this machine, you lose 1,000 psi off the hydraulic system.
Ooh.
So, just as a heads up, Stick to the 4 oils, and they are listed in the owner's manual.
Yes, I do remember that last time you said that. Stick with the factory, stick with the oils that we have only.
That's a big one. From here back.
Yeah.
From here forward on the machine, feel free. Shop around.
Okay.
Same thing with the filters for the back half of the machine. If you're the guy that wants to shop online because you're online savvy, great. Make sure that you're getting filters that have a screen-printed logo of either Coyote or Daedong, their parent corporation, for the back half of the machine especially. Okay?
Or just call you guys.
There are 4 filter companies on the market that make aftermarket filters. They are not the correct filtration rating.
Okay.
100% proven on that one. You will hurt your machine. It will not honor your warranty. So, just as a heads up, on the back half of the machine, you got to be very particular on that stuff. The dipstick for that system is down over here behind the diff lock pedal. The fill is this red cap. When you're doing services on this thing, make sure that you put either a piece of cardboard across the floor mat or some rags down under here. The oil, if it's spilled on the floor mat, will cause the floor mat to swell on this model. So just so you don't have a puffy, waffled, rubber mess.
God, yep.
All your lighting controls are on this control over here along with the horn button. Blue lever will allow you to tilt the steering on this model. You've got a cruise control button over here. So if you're doing something like rototilling or mowing, instead of constant speed, 4-way flashers, hand throttle, nothing crazy there. To set the parking brake, to get off the tractor, leaving it run, or to set the park brake for parking situations, step on this pedal all the way down, push the orange lever against it, and it will lock the parking brake. To release it, just step on it again, it pops back up, and you're good to go.
Awesome.
This dash was actually made for multiple tractors. Every light known to man lights up pretty much at the start up here. This one's not so bad, but your PTO rating for this one is going to be 2,600 RPMs. Okay. And then you have your oil pressure, your charging system, parking brake, and then the glow plugs.
The glow plugs.
Which on a day like today, they'll stay on for about 10 seconds. They're both timed and temperature controlled. On a hotter day, they may not come on at all. Perfectly acceptable. On a cold day, anything under 45 degrees, it could stay on for up to 45 seconds.
Okay.
Now, if it is colder out than 40 degrees, roll the key off, do another glow plug cycle for every 10 degrees it drops below 40. Count to 10 between the glow plug cycles. It's going to allow the computer to reset the timer.
Okay.
I'd rather see you do more glow plug cycles and less crank time with this machine. Glow plugs for this thing, you're talking maybe $150 worth of glow plugs. $900 starter. What's less expensive in the long term?
Yeah.
Okay.
That $900 starter. Holy shit.
His is $1,200.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, you wanted to get the bigger machine.
The other thought process here is more glow plugs and less crank time equals more battery time.
Okay.
So there's 2 sides to that coin. You'll get more longevity out of the battery, more reserve time out of the battery by doing less cranking also.
Yes.
So 5 glow plug cycles is the equivalent power drop of 30-second missed start.
Okay.
So just as a heads up there. Loader on the front of this thing. We'll go up to the front. You got your replacement cutting edge on there. That is reversible. I've yet to sell. I think I've sold 1 replacement cutting edge in the whole time I've been working here in the last 10 years.
Nice.
So
it's gonna last a while.
You'll do your damnedest on that one. Let me tell you.
Beautiful.
The top edge of the bucket.
Hey,
here.
I am a Dufresne. I may be able to pull something off.
Challenge accepted.
I've heard this one before.
Challenge accepted.
Hold my beer.
The top edge of the bucket here is actually a closed box channel. If you decide you want to weld hooks to it, it's acceptable. Just keep in mind that if you're welding anything on the tractor that either the battery's disconnected or the item is removed from the machine to weld.
Yes, okay.
There is a microcontroller on this one for the safety circuit on it.
Yeah.
That would take a hit from the welding process.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure that you're either disconnecting the battery or isolating the component. This grapple on the front here, this front jaw cannot be used to push or back drag. Pushing and back dragging voids the warranty.
Okay.
You will blow out the cylinder. You'll have nothing but problems from there on out. The back plate on it, that is absolutely the workhorse of the machine. You know, you can use that to push, pull, dig, whatever. The front jaw is simply meant for clamping. Skid steer style quick attach on this thing. If you run across an implement that does not directly go on, such as your forks are a little bit tight, trim about 1/8 of an inch out of the bottom of the square window. Everything will fit, both this machine and whatever it was originally designed for.
Beautiful.
The stand feet that are currently on that, they're simply that. They're meant to be stands for storage in the garage.
Okay.
If you're using it, unpin them, take them off, put them in the back of your garage, otherwise you'll bend them. So we don't want to see that now.
Yeah, no, definitely
Anytime
not.
you're coupling or uncoupling the hydraulic couplers for the third function, you want to roll the key to the off position, roll it back on but not running, so to the accessory position. bump the buttons back and forth a couple of times on the joystick. That'll relieve the line pressure so you can get the couplers in and out.
Okay, beautiful.
You'll notice that with this particular implement, we've got some 90-degree fittings on the end.
Yes.
Anytime you're running anything hydraulic, you want to make sure that you have enough clearance to the backing plate on it. With them straight, they actually rub through on the back plate of the forks. So in the scenario of a hydraulic plow down the road or something like that, you always want to make sure that you accounted for that amount of clearance. You know what I mean? Some guys will take and bungee cord this up to the main body of the lift on it. Not a bad idea, okay? But you want to leave the bungee cord so it has flex still so it can pull. Because if you roll this all the way down, almost all of this hose is taken up. So you want it to have some give, but if you notice that it's dragging low or contacting things, you can bungee cord it up.
Okay, now something like that, what I seen online, that hose saver, it was a hose saver system that's like a spring. That works also. And it's a metal spring, and that'll work perfectly.
That'll work just fine too, yeah. You just want to make sure that whatever it is has some give.
Okay.
That's it. The loader on this thing is easy on and off, okay? If you unpin this pin on both sides, drop it down with it up off the ground a little bit, repin it down here, and this lower pin will line up in here. Both sides of the machine with the factory bucket on the front of it, because it's a proper counterbalance for everything. You'll use the hydraulics to free up the pin on either side, lifting it upwards and then rotating it out. Please don't grease the pins. Please don't grind them. They are in there tight. They go in with a 4-pound hammer most days.
Nice.
So they're meant to be tight. They're meant to be dry fit. If they loosen up over time, they will cause damage. So we tell you not to overdo it with grease or with grinding on those pins. Once you've got those two pins out, curl the bucket upwards. That's going to lift this section up about 3 inches. Once it's up that high, shut the tractor down, uncouple all your couplers, drive away. First time you do it, 30 minutes worth of colorful words you didn't know you knew. After that, it's a 3-minute job on this machine. Yours is about 5 minutes. It's not bad to do it. Let's see. Rubber floor mat, pull that thing up a couple times a year, clean underneath it. You'll get dirt build up. Dirt will cause it to rot. If you notice rot on the floor pans or the paint starts to wear through, clean it down really well, Scotch-Brite it, hit it with some bed liner spray, Herculiner or something like that. Let it dry 2 days, then put the mat back down again.
Okay.
All right. Anything underneath the machine that pivots, slides, rubs against another component. If there's no grease fitting, I recommend a product called Fluid Film.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't heard of that one.
$10 and $13 a bottle. It's similar to New Hampshire oil. They have an undercoating that they use. Basically, fluid film is it's lanolin mixed with paraffin wax. So it's a very slimy substance. When it's applied over time, it will dry, become waxy, but it starves out rust for oxygen, stopping rust in its tracks.
Oh, nice.
It's a great lubricant, and it stays tacky for a long time.
Okay.
If we do services on it here, every time it comes in for service, we coat them. Anything that pivots, slides, or moves. That way there nothing rusts up over time. I don't recommend using products like white lithium grease, because white lithium grease will react with anything that's natural rubber, O-rings, seals, things like that, and cause them to swell.
Cause them to swelling.
Failure over time. So that's why we recommend that product. I do carry it here. It's $12, $13 a can. Go online, you can find it for as low as $10 a can. Your local Napa store will even carry it. So it's pretty easy to come by. So that's everything there. I'm going to pop the lid next here. And on this one, it's on this side. Pull it to the side, lift up. This has a manual lockout, just lift it all the way, it'll lock into place. The only thing noteworthy on this side is the alternator adjustment. The only reason I'm mentioning it is if the hour meter or tachometer ever slow down on the dash, they're electronically driven on this one.
Okay.
So just a matter of readjust the belt, go back to work, and everything will work fine again for you. Regular green ethylene glycol antifreeze on this one, 50-50 mix. Please don't mix extended life coolant in there, otherwise you'll make a nasty jelly mess, and it won't cool anymore.
Yeah.
Screen on the front of the radiator here. Loosen up the thumb screw here. It'll slide out the side.
Okay.
Just have to have the loader up a little bit. Interstate battery on the front of this thing. 24-month free replacement. Data purchases on the tractors. Data purchase on the battery. And any interstate dealer in the country could swap that out for you, which is why we use them.
All right, cool.
Pretty good battery overall. Drain for the radiator. Halfway to 3/4 of the way down the radiator on the right side of the tractor. There's a little drain cock. Drain it out once every 2 years. Refill it. That cuts down on the acids in the system.
Okay.
Seeing as you have an aluminum radiator, steel block, you end up with electrolysis. The acids build up over time, causing degradation of parts. If you change out the coolant every couple of years, it'll be 10 years before you need a water pump. If you don't, well, it'll be much earlier.
Yeah, it'll be like mixing Dex Cool and green antifreeze together.
Up on the top here, you've got your air filter, okay? If you lift the loader up, it will slide right out the side. Nothing crazy there.
There we go.
Get in the habit of taking that air filter out. Blow it out about once every 10 hours when you're greasing your machine. That air filter is about $78. It's more expensive than yours and half the size. So take it out. Take it out.
Oh, you be quiet. Why? How much is yours?
This is about 65. I think.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So if you take that filter out every 10 hours when you're greasing your machine, blow it out with a little bit of compressed air from the inside out, it'll last 200 or 300 hours.
Oh, nice.
If you don't, you'll be here every 50 spending that money on an air filter.
Yeah.
Someplace that you could save yourself some money. So now everything else I want to show you is down over here. You got your engine oil filter right out in the open. Your filter is this orange cap right up here.
All right.
Dipstick right over here. Now, it's a dual sump oil pan on this thing. When you drain it out, you want to drain both sides. There's no crossover on it.
Okay.
15W40 conventional engine oil. Nothing crazy there.
Okay.
First change out's going to be at 50 hours. After that, 50 hours or once a year, whichever comes first. For the occasional user. For the daily user, 100 hours or once a year, whichever comes first. Front axle, currently filled with the same hydraulic oil that's in the back of the system. I want you to drain that out and refill it at 50 hours with 80W90 gear oil.
Okay.
That's going to make sure that you don't have leaks coming down the road. Okay. You got your fill cap here. If you swamp this part underwater, drain it and refill it because it's vented.
Okay.
There's 3 drain plugs, one on the bottom of each knuckle, one in the center section. You got to drain all 3 of those before you refill it. When you have refilled it, you want to run it up and down your driveway like a drunk jerk, swinging the wheel as hard as you can, side to side. You want to get on a hillside sideways, both directions.
I love that explanation.
If there's any air bubbles left in that axle, you want to make sure you worked them to the top and topped it back off.
Okay.
People check it an hour after you filled it, a week after you filled it, a month after you filled it. If it goes dry, they will not honor the warranty. So, can't stress enough. Double check that after you've serviced it. It's currently full, but it's one of those things, you know, after you've done it, worth checking.
Yeah, always just check it.
One spot on both of your machines that I want to point out, okay? I'm going to come around this side and do it. Make it a little easier to see. This area here on both sides of the machine. I'm holding on to your cooling fan right now. Same thing with your 3510. This area here, if you're going in reverse over large brush piles, these big knobby tires tend to pick up sticks. They face them up like this. Front axle catches it, it feeds it into your plastic fan like a wood chipper. Your machine, $1,865. Your machine, $1,295. That's the cost of a replacement radiator, fan, and the coolant, plus the labor to put it in. So, if you're going over large brush piles, run over the top of it, out the other side, turn around, and come back. Or scoot as far forward on the seat as you can, look down through this hole, and make sure nothing is contacting the axle. If it's as high as the axle, stop there, move it, and then go over the pile the rest of it.
Yeah, I ran into that with my small cub cadet the other day. Ended up moving that brush pile. Next thing I know, I hear this freaking whining noise because I backed up. It kicked up, the belt picked up the freaking stick and sent it right into the fan above the transmission.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was like, what the hell was that? I look underneath it and I'm like, ooh.
That is one nice thing about this tractor. The next size down from this, the HST fan is here. This has no fan back there.
Okay.
The coolers are up in the front of this.
All right, cool.
So that's basically the machine in a nutshell. Grapple, 1-year warranty. Loader, 1-year warranty against manufacturer's defect. Lines and hoses, 90 days against manufacturer's defect. If you hang it on a tree, tough luck, I'm sorry. Main body of the tractor, bumper to bumper, 2 years, unlimited hours, excluding wear items. No tie rods, tie rod boots, brakes, or clutches. Obviously, if it fails in the first few days, yeah, give me a call, it's covered. Beyond that, you're on your own.
Okay.
Try not to ride the clutch. Tall guys leave their foot up on the clutch pedal like a Harley foot peg. That will absolutely
What are you looking at me for?
Okay, that will burn out your clutch in a matter of months.
Okay.
That's a $3,500 cost.
Jesus Christ.
Take your foot off the pedal, put it on the floor pan, make a conscious effort.
Well, at least what you said, I only needed to start the engine.
To start it
and to shift the PTO.
That's it. That's the only reason you should be.
I don't have any PTO attachments yet, so I just need to use it to start it, and that's it.
Beyond that, you have 4 more years of powertrain coverage, bringing your powertrain coverage to 6 years total. Powertrain is defined as engine, transmission, HST drive, front axle, rear axle, rock cover, anything contained inside those cases, including the cases themselves. However, items extending through a case, it's up to Coyote whether or not they cover it. And it really comes down to common sense. If you were to get a rust-up issue on any one of these levers where the rod exits the case, that's considered a customer maintainable item. They would not cover that.
Okay.
However, if that same rod were to physically shear off due to a casting defect, yes, it's covered, no problem.
Okay.
So there's common sense in that stuff again. Please note, this guy right here, we cannot cover your transportation to or from under warranty. It is customer responsibility to get it back if it needs to come back. However, I will work with you where I can on things.
Okay.
So if it's something silly, snap a picture of it. I'll pre-order the parts. You bring the old one, I'll give you the new one. You don't have to truck it all the way back. You know what I mean? So I'll work with you where I can on stuff like that. If it's something silly,
that's
something
beautiful.
simple, you want to make the trip, say a light switch went bad, no problem. I mail you a new one, you mail me the old one, because they recall everything entirely. So they are going to want your old parts back. As long as you're willing to send them, send it via mail, I'm good with it. You know what I mean? I'll work with you where I can. Serial number tags and all this stuff, okay? There is a printed tag on the side of the grapple over there. There's a placard over here. There's another one like that up here on the loader on the other side. If you're calling me for parts or service or warranty, I need the serial number and the model number off of that tag.
Okay.
The CX2510, yes, it's first generation, but it has a long pedigree because it was the previous CK model.
Yes.
So, in the future, there will probably be 5 to 7 versions of this machine at some point, because they usually run them out 7 generations and then they upgrade to a new model. So, when you're calling me for parts or service, model number, serial number, the section of the machine we're working with.
Okay.
Without that information, I'm going to laugh at you till you go back to your machine and hang up the phone. So, save me the trouble. And if you're calling in, you'll probably not get me on the first phone call. I do between 5 and 20 of these a day, plus parts, plus service, plus assembly. So, I'm busy in the building. If you don't get directly through to me, the girls in the office are as knowledgeable as the guys. They can give you information if that's what you're looking for. Above and beyond that, leave your name, your phone number, model number, serial number, and what it is you're looking for. I will absolutely get back to you at my earliest convenience.
Awesome.
Maybe the next day, but I will call you back. Above and beyond that, though, if it's coming in for service work in particular, plan ahead. I'm booked out till the end of July as of yesterday. So, and last year we were booked into October this time of year. So, if you need repair work done and you want us to do the services, by all means, call me ahead of time, way ahead of time. If you want a 50-hour service, call me at 20 hours, because it's going to take you that long to get in. Just as a heads up on that.
Well, at least you're getting your 50-hour service now at 13 hours, and you just get all your stuff for it.
Yeah, I'm just going to do it at the house, yeah.
And it does not void your warranty to do your own repair work. So keep a log of when it was done, what you did, filters, things like that. If you're buying from me, I'll have a record of filter purchases. But write down how many hours you've done the service at, because that's what they require for the warranty, so that we can prove to them, yes, it was done. There's no problems with the machine as far as service.
Write it down, take a picture of the hour meter, send it off to you guys.
Idea. Exactly. That's a great preventative, and that'll honor the warranty.
Awesome.
Above and beyond that, warranty on this stuff, common sense goes a long way. If you have questions, by all means, give me a call. All right. I know the guys down at Coyote personally. My guys in the shop train down there 3 times a year. We know their kids. We know their dogs. They go out to dinner with them when they're down there. That kind of thing for training. So, like, if anybody's going to be able to push a warranty through for you, it'll be us. Now, I know you guys live up north. Other dealers may not be as
nice
about getting it in for warranty work, seeing as you bought from me down here, because I'm not in your backyard.
Honestly, I don't think anybody else is in our backyard either. I think you're the closest dealer.
Vermont and New Hampshire, there's a few up there.
Yeah, probably about the same distance drive.
Maybe the same distance, but
the trick there is, I just moved to the area. I bought in Belchertown because I lived down there, and I just moved to the area. That is the keywords. That is the keys to the kingdom. There's a particular tractor company up in New Hampshire that told the guy that his model of tractor didn't exist because he didn't buy it from him. Okay? So just to give you an idea of some of the mindset that
see, there's a good thing we can edit videos too.
Yeah. We will honor warranties and things like that from any other dealer, but our customers come first. So take precedent.
Hey, you know what? You're talking. We've got years and years in the automotive industry as well, so we understand. Yep, definitely, especially with warranties.
Takes precedent coming into the shop. Okay, well, I may be months out on regular work. If it needs a warranty repair and it has to come back, it'll be 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll get you in.
Okay,
you know what I mean? And that's of course part pending. Put it that way.
Right, if you have to.
So if I have to order something in and we can pre-order it, that makes the process faster. But if it's something they don't have, obviously I'm not going to get you here until they
unless something that magically goes on back order.
And that happens a lot. Unfortunately, right now it does happen.
Yes, yes it does.
Coyote parts have been much more forgiving than Mahindra stuff. Usually Coyote parts, even on back orders, only a couple of months. So it's not been horrible, honestly. So that's your tractor in a nutshell. You have any questions?
Beautiful. No, at least at the moment I do not.
Right. Yes, sir.
I noticed I greased my fittings at 10 hours.
Yep.
What's the difference between the grease that's in here and the grease that you gave us? Because it's two different colors.
The grease that's in there is a lightweight lithium complex, non-synthetic. The grease that I gave you is a molybdenum base, so it's maybe a little more slippery overall than the non-synthetic regular grease. If you happen to be shopping at the auto parts store, Molly grease is great, but it is black and it gets on everything. If you go with an HP EP automotive based grease, a synthetic, they're going to be like a 2 or 2.5, and you can usually find those at any auto parts store. Red grease, that stuff's great. I tend to stay away from marine grease only because it doesn't ever wash off. It gets stickier.
Oh, that's
So we stay away from the marine grease just because you'll get one dot here, it'll be over here, it'll be down here.
It's like freaking never sees.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's on everything.
Yep.
So usually we go with here we tend to run the Molly-based grease. You can use that or the lithium multi-complex grease and a red grease. Either one is fine.
Okay.
As long as you're at least an NLGL rating of 1.5 or higher, you're good to go as far as safety goes. That'll give you plenty of longevity. Tight on location, same as your machine, so you're familiar with that already. So you guys are good to go here. Doesn't look like he had a chance to pull those forks out yet, so I'm...
actually, he did.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he's got the forks and he's got the York rake sitting over there.
He's out front already. All right. So that means Billy's got you probably billed out at this point. We'll go inside, cash you out. I'll get your 50-hour service before my next customer comes.
Yeah, that grease and your spray lube stuff. That
The
fluid film? Yep. Right. Yeah, perfect.
only other dumb question is, you got any more valve caps laying
Yeah,
around?
I just noticed that. I'm actually going to grab it off the machine next to you. And I'll grab another one inside.
Yeah, no.
What's the matter with you?
My last, because my
Anal prick.
I am an anal
That
prick.
should be on there. That's actually my fault because I'm the one that balanced it.
Because the only other last question I got, and I know it's an oddball question, because I asked Billy about, you know what the bolt pattern is?
It is on this one, I gotta remember, this is going to be their 6 lug. This is the smaller of the bolt patterns. I believe that these are 2.5 or 2 3/4. It's a metric bolt pattern.
Okay.
Explain why you asked the question, though.
Yeah, what are you doing?
No. I'm just looking for either maybe
You thinking wheel spacer?
a wheel spacer.
Okay. So I have a couple of thoughts on wheel spacer.
Maybe a wheel spacer, or get a hold of what that company is up in Canada that makes freaking wheel adapters.
Okay. So my thought on it is, if you go more than an inch wider than what's currently here, you are putting a ton of stress on the ring and pinion. Use a very small bolt to use a very small bolt to retain the pinion gear to the ring. The ring gear to the carrier. I'm sorry. And they're only 8x125 bolts. There's only like 6 of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So going wider, you do put more stress on that ring gear bolt pattern. So I would say that if you can get away without running a wider pattern on the back, please try to. I'd rather see you put a weight box off the back, carrying an extra 400 pounds over the 400 pounds of tire film, than go wider, quite honestly.
Okay. Just figured I'd ask.
My casual observance of what I've seen over the years.
Okay.
Okay. If you were to add wheel spacers and something broke, you cannot have the wheel spacers on it when it comes back.
Noted. Duly noted.
You see where I'm going?
Yep. Or if you could get a company by chance to make some, splined wheel spacers and put a set of duals on it.